every child has the right to be protected against maltreatment, exploitation, and human right abuse. But that is not the case over here. The CBC Health Service reports that over 50% of children in Cameroon have been victims of child abuse and human rights violation. UNICEF reports that the number seems to have escalated over the years as a result of the crisis in the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. There are a lot of reasons that have accounted for this: poverty, rape, increased crime, child marriage, and lots of other things. But this evening, we're going to be talking about something that seems most of the times overlooked. We're talking about the practice of transporting young, underage, innocent, vulnerable children, especially from the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, to come work as house helps in the central and littoral regions of Cameroon. Most of the times, these children are girls, vulnerable, young. They are ripped of their youthfulness. They are not allowed time to grow and develop into full adults, and they are forced into the job market. Under guardians, we are not sure will take care of them like their actual parents will take care of. And so joining us to have this conversation tonight is going to be Mrs. Shundale Maxeline Ayumbi. She is a master's degree holder in public health. She's also the CEO and founder of Vision of Hope, which is already 9 years old today. They help assist, They do help assist and empower the poor, the vulnerable, the sick, the orphans, and the widows. And through their reach out, they've helped over these 9 years diagnose over 700 cases of hypertension, over 200 cases of diabetes, and over 4 cases of cervical cancer. Please clap for them. And now, please, if you're ready, just as I am, please put your hands together as we welcome Madame Maxeline. And also joining us, guys, is going to be Mrs. Lolita. She is a mother of 3 beautiful children, a wife as well. She's a teacher by profession, an entrepreneur, and the CEO and founder of Thy Ultimate Beauty and Spa. She is also brand ambassador for Oriflame Sweden here in Cameroon. Please put your hands together as she comes forward. Ladies, once more, you're welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. You look so beautiful.
Thank you. You do as well.
Yeah. So we'll start with you, Max. Vision of Hope. Let's start with Vision of Hope. As young as you are, Vision of Hope is 9 years old today, which means that that's a vision you had as a very young girl. We want to know what motivated a young girl to want to give out so selflessly to society.
When I was growing up, I lived in a home where a mother, that's my mother, was always collapsing time and again, especially when she was stressed. And it is over the years that I got to realize that she was actually suffering from hypertension. And because hypertension is not something that we regularly go to the hospital to check, since you don't have fever, you don't have headaches, you don't have any symptoms that can really tell you, okay, sorry, we have headaches, but you will not relate it to hypertension immediately. So you will not go regularly to the hospitals to do a checkup. And my mother kept going through this trauma again and again. And I told myself I was going to be a nurse in the future. And that when I become a nurse, I want to know what was really wrong with my mother. So I got inspired at that very young age because of what my mother was going through. And because of what I saw other women in the community they were going through.
Wow.
You know, coming from a poor background, and seeing the struggles that your parents go through just so that you can have daily bread, so that you can be able to go to school. It was not easy. And because of those stressors, they developed these silent killer diseases without them even knowing. So over the years, I told myself, okay, let me find out. Let me be able to sensitize the community and make them know that you must not necessarily be sick before you can go for a routine checkup. And when we got into the community,
Please, can we clap for this woman?
we actually realized that a lot of, like you said, we are already above the 700 for hypertension because many people, when we go down to the communities, they are like, no, I've never been hypertensive. You know, that we commonly call it high blood pressure. Say, I've never gotten high blood pressure. How can you say I am hypertensive? And then we'll say, okay, we'll do a follow-up with the nearest health facility so that you can get to treat yourself. That is what inspired me the most. Also, as a result of the fact that it was very difficult for my parents to pay my fees, buy books. You see, if you see most of the activities that we carry out, they are centered around my growing up. The way I felt, I thought that somebody could come to our rescue, somebody could come to our aid, but there was never somebody that was coming to our aid. And I told myself, I know tidings is good, but if I have a little, instead of doing my tidings, I would give it back to the poor and vulnerable in the community.
Wow.
And that is how I started giving back to the beach. I started giving back to the community. Now, being the nurse that I dreamed to become and then going above and being a public health expert, it inspired me even the more. Because when I worked with a project and seeing how community members, they die every day as a result of complications from non-communicable diseases, I told myself there is a need to do more. And you will realize that the people that were able to diagnose for breast cancer, for cervical cancer, they have a longer lifespan than they would have just stayed there, and before they realize they're up to stage 2 cancer, and they can die without even knowing what they are suffering from. So that was my own little way of giving back to the community. And I had this vision. I keep telling myself, in as much as I will one day want to get old, it's good that I take care of the aged people. And the reason why you see me, I go into the communities and look for the oldest mothers, especially the widows. Most of them, they don't even have children. They are just living on their own, and then we have to rehabilitate, give them the basic necessities that they would need just for a comfortable life. But doing that to me is satisfactory, because when I go back to bed, I lie comfortably knowing that somebody is smiling, because Vision of Hope is a voice for the voice.
Thank you so much for all that you do for humanity.
You're welcome.
Yes, we do. I've been following up your activities. I see that you engaged more in rural areas. First, you started with villages. You reach out to these widows. You clean their houses, buy them mattresses and food and stuff. And it's just of recent that you're trying to expand into the cities.
That's right.
You, being a young girl who came from a humble background, you're reaching out to these people. You require finances and resources, lot of networking and assistance. I would like to know, we would definitely like to know, how do you get funding and how do you get the enablement to be able to reach out to these ladies? Is there an association you work with? Is the government coming in, or how do you go through all of that?
To be sincere, that has been my greatest difficulty running this association, because basically I do this from the little wages that I get at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So when I get my salary, there is already a portion of my salary that goes for the activities of Vision of Hope, and it is standard. Every month as I receive, I just put it aside, and then I build up a team. Of recent, we're able to work with the Bafut Council, that they came in. We did a cleanup in Bafut and recycling plastic containers, and which was very good. It was we recruited more than 330 youths in that subdivision, and at the end of the day, we were able to pay their fees, and then we gave them books for back to school, and they went home really celebrating.
Wow, beautiful. Beautiful.
Aside this, we've not had funders. We don't have any partners, no other person coming in, but we just say the little that we give to the world matters. We don't have to have the world before we can offer something to somebody. We just want to give the little that we have, and we know that God will keep replenishing and more will come. One of the videos, I'm sure you saw it, there is one lady that we visited. And just because of that act that we went into that lady's house, an anonymous person just called and said, I want to support this lady. She cannot be living in a place like this.
Yeah.
Behold, she came and did a rehabilitation in this grandma's house. That's a lady that's over 100 years plus. They did rehabilitation, electrification, and then plastered the house, and the house was so wonderful. And that mother keeps praying and praying that Vision of Hope will grow higher, just as the donor is growing.
Amen.
Our greatest desire is that somebody can see us and see our activities and come to our rescue.
Exactly.
And come to support more, because there are many, many vulnerable cases in the community. We need to keep giving out to these vulnerable people. But how do we do this when we have just little resources? It's true, people have a misconception about humanitarian works,
Yeah.
because they always feel like, okay, they are going there to enrich themselves.
Yes.
But in particular, I feel for my community. I feel for the people. I feel when you go to Ngogotunja, I had cases of elephantitis, I had cases of Parkinson's disease that had been bedridden for more than 10 years. And you see us, we go there, we do bed bath every morning.
Yeah.
Every week we go and we check. We offered protein items that could help to rebuild the individuals, and they became stronger. Unfortunately, the 2 cases there, they died last year. But we thank God because they died a peaceful death.
Exactly.
And they were
felt
happy
loved.
that
Yes.
they were loved even at their dying
Yes.
days. So that was a great thing for us. So we
Yeah.
need assistance.
Exactly.
Need assistance.
That's what humanity is all about, giving back to society, looking out for one another. There's a saying in the Bible that you are because I am.
Yes.
There's no essence of living if you cannot look out to see somebody that is in need to reach out to. Whether you're a Christian or not, moral good is not just Christianity. It's about your conscience. It's about making sure that everybody has the same privilege and advantage that you have. And so we're calling on associations, NGOs, organizations, or people of goodwill. Please reach out to Vision of Hope. You can find them anywhere on social media. They need your help. If you are conscious and willing to be able to improve humanity, please reach out to this type of people and they'll be able to push through your dream. Thank you so much, Maxeline. I will talk to you, Mrs. Bo. Before we get to the question of the day, you're a mother and you're a wife and you're an entrepreneur and you are a businesswoman, so you have a lot of things. First, even before I ask you this question, Mrs. Mo, I'd like to know if you've ever had a house help.
Yes.
Okay. So that brings me to the question. What's your opinion on this practice? What's your opinion on this practice of people transporting children? Sometimes the children are as young as 10 years old. Someone lives here. The typical case scenario is a boss lady who works in an office and she has a husband and they probably have like 5 kids now she just put to bed and the child is 2 months old. And most of the times they cannot double house chores and office work. They're tired, they're drained. Now, when they get to these villages, what they say is, I don't want Pikiwe who can't stay with me.
Mhm.
That is what they say to deceive our gullible parents in the villages. And what you're thinking is, okay, she just likes my child, she wants to adopt my child. But 9 out of 10 times, that family is looking for a child who would come and be a house help, a babysitter, a washerwoman, a cook, a dry cleaner, and all those type of things. I want to know what's your opinion as a mother and a wife and someone who had a house help. First, do you think that this practice is okay to employ a child who is still 10, who has not understood livelihood, who is still developing into a human being? Do you think it's criminal or do you think it's okay to employ a child that young for a house help or a babysitter?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I honestly disagree with any parent who send their kid at their age to go into someone's house to work as a housekeeper or a cook or a dry cleaner. I totally disagree. I want to say that I understand and I want to say that there are parents who are pushed to do that not because they actually want to, but because of circumstances. Circumstances sometimes pushes parents to do things that they don't even want to do. You see a parent and maybe the 10-year-old is their first child.
Yes.
And the other ones are still very young. So according to them, in quote, they know that this first child is going to help them
Take care of the other
take
siblings.
care of the other siblings. And that is why you see them pushing that 10-year-old, because I think that no woman will actually really love to see her child at that age to really go into someone's house to work as a cook, as a dry cleaner. I don't think there's any mother who will want to do that, if not of challenges or circumstances of life.
Mrs. Bo, the truth is, I want to interject there. The thing is, they don't tell these children that you're coming to cook for me. There is nobody who goes there.
In the part of the parents sending this,
They are not aware of it. That's what I'm trying
they
to
are
say.
not aware.
Most of them are parents in the villages. They don't know what happens in Yaoundé. When this person gets there, he'll just be like, I don't want Pikiwe Okande with me for house.
Okay.
That's what they say. They're sending their child. They do not have a picture of what the child is going to be doing in Yaoundé.
Okay.
That's true.
Okay, yeah, because most of these people come and they tell the parent, I will take the child, I'll take care of this child.
Exactly.
Yes, I think that's this now. They make you, they
They deceive you. That's the word.
make sure they convince you enough for you to be able to send these children, not withholding the child. And they tell you, no, they will send the child to school. Or if not school, they'll send the child to work. Yeah, to learn handwork. And at the end of the day, these parents will be saying, oh, thank you, Jesus. A savior has come into our family. And at the end of the day, these children end up working like slaves in people's homes.
For sometimes a salary that is as low as 10,000 sometimes. I've had so many cases that the salary is 10,000 francs. They say we'll send 10,000 francs every month
And to the
Yes.
parents.
and they send it to the parents back in the
No,
village.
it is wrong. It is totally wrong. I don't agree with that. And I want to say that I want to really hit hard on it. Us women or parents, please, no matter who this child is, no matter where the child is coming from, every child needs love. Every child needs a home. Every child has the right to be taken care of seriously. I don't think you need to, I don't think it's not about being a Christian or not. With your conscience and the human heart in you, you don't need to take someone's child. And you'll be at that age, 10 years. And sometimes if you look at these people, if you ask them, even their own child at 15 will not do what
Of course.
the one of 10 is doing. You can't take someone's child at that age and the child is watching, the child watch, the child clean, the child cooks, the child runs errands. It's totally wrong. It's not correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Max, we're going to ask you. Have you had any such experiences personally?
I was going to give an example coming from my own home. You know, I don't want us to limit this to only those that come and say they want somebody to come and assist them at home. There is also this tradition of giving a little bride or a little groom to a bride that is going into marriage with the belief that, okay, as you go along, maybe with your aunt or your elder sister, you're going to be raised here.
Yes.
I want to tell you this short story. It happened in my house. That's about 16 years ago when one of my niece was sent off with me to into my marriage. Now, this child was around 8 years by then, 7, 8, and would often urinate on the bed. You will not believe it that just one of the nights that I said, let me go around and see how all the rooms are, just to do a check, I saw my own niece sleeping on the floor. And I am like, why are you on the floor? Daddy said I should not be sleeping on his bed because I urinate on this bed. Do you get that?
Oh, God.
The trauma. That child has been sleeping on the floor. For how long have you been sleeping on the floor? More than 2 weeks. And it became a serious problem. I told myself I cannot sleep on a bed and my own niece is sleeping on the floor. I want to tell you, first, this is still happening because the parents, you know, these children come, like you said, from the rural areas.
Yes.
Who are we talking about? We are talking about the children, the underage minors that are less than 15 years old. And we know it is penal by the Cameroon law. It is criminal to send out your child. You as a parent that is sending out your child and you that is taking the child, you have to both face the law.
But the question is,
now,
is it enacted?
But
Is it being put into practice?
But that is where I'm coming to. But now, with a corrupt system, but now in the place where everybody, people's positions, do you know who I am, has taken the place of the
Exactly.
law, it becomes difficult to implement it. It becomes difficult because even if you report, what happens?
Yes.
But we have to start by sensitizing the communities. By sensitizing the communities. Because if a mother knows or if a father knows that sending out my child into the cities is like slavery, that's
Yes.
trafficking. I'm trafficking my child. They will not do it. They continuously do that because they are not informed. How do we do this education? There are NGOs in the communities, but they do not talk about it. They take it as a normal routine. We have agents and they ask money. They levy people in the cities so that they can bring in children for them. And even when they levy these individuals that are going to stay with these children, that money doesn't even get to the parents of these children.
Yes.
It remains with the agents or the agencies. Now, the parents have given out their child. They know that this child is going to bring us fruit, good fruits. But they are never going to be any good fruit because somebody that has paid 100,000 for you to bring them a nanny thinks that is a slave that you're bringing into their home. I literally brought you, and so I should do with you whatever I want.
And the question is, what is humane about giving birth to a child and depending on her to take care of your family when she's barely 10? What is humane about that? Even if you're poor,
No,
what's humane about saying my little girl will be the one to make money for me to take care of her siblings?
the poor mentality, the lack of education. The lack of education. With this generation, we are getting more exposed.
Yes.
We are getting more exposed. We are getting the education that our parents did not get.
Yes.
And so because they did not get this education, they send out these children willingly on a good mindset. But those that receive these children, they receive them on a bad faith because they are not ready to do anything. They always discriminate. You see, they dress their children properly. They dress that one that is coming with rags. They will get up in the morning. They ask this one that has come to bathe the children on a Sunday morning for them to go to church, and then you stay back home and you're preparing the lunch for them so that they come back from church and they eat. They are not treating them fairly.
And then Madame will say, no, I don't let her cook my meals. I'm the one that cooks my husband's meals. Let me set an example. Madame is cooking jollof rice, right? What she would do is she will send that child to go and buy the rice and bring. Send that child to go and buy the tomatoes and all the spices. She will ask the child to cut the tomatoes and the spices, and then she will stand in front of the gas cooker and say, Nchang, bring me that salt. And then she brings and she throws, bring me the oil. And that to her is what that is how she has cooked the jollof rice. Yes. But in the literal sense, it is that child who is doing the cooking for them. I think this is something people do not understand the intensity of this particular practice. I mean, domestic staff are professionals. It's a job on its own. People do not understand that it's a job, it's an employment. And so the government can lay modalities and say, okay, we're going to have agencies like this where we recruit domestic staff from the ages of 18 or whatever age is permitted to work. And there is a salary base for these institutions.
Yes. You think
the problem is that the institutions that we have are greedy. It's not like we do not have them in Cameroon. We have them, but most of them are invested in taking children and sending them abroad to countries like Lebanon and Kuwait, where they are murdered, raped, and killed. Why? Because they are so greedy. They are greedy. They take them with promises that, okay, you're going to serve as a house help. They'll be paying you a salary is about 200,000, and then you're so happy in Cameroon, 200,000, I'm going. And then you get there. The moment you reach the airport, they seize your passport from you. You do not know what awaits you. And the payment goes straight to the agency. So they feel that the stipend that they will get from from employing a house help in Cameroon is too small to sustain them.
You're right.
So I think the problem is we're not thinking long term. And so we blind our eyes to the ills that follow this practice. These children are deprived of education. Whatever they say is education does not impact them in any way. 9 out of 10 times, I'll tell you, they are raped and bullied into silence.
Yes.
Take the case of a female child who is 10 years old that is brought into a house where the woman is a workaholic. She doesn't have time for her husband. And if her husband is a pervert, we do not know. They have a 17-year-old son who is their first child. And this child is then stuck up in the house. They do not even allow her time to go out. When that boy child wants to explore, he will explore on that girl because there is no one to protect her. Even the father in that house, if he's a pervert, he will rape that girl. Most of them are raped. And what they do is they bully them into silence. They tell them, if you ever open your mouth, I will kill you. Max has already said that there should be some institutions to regulate this. I do not know. What else do you think we should propose as solutions? How can we make this practice criminal and see that anybody who recruits a child this young, whether they are maltreating them or not, we consider it criminal and they are brought to book?
Yes, it is already written in the law of 19 December 2005. It is stated there. They have given all the definitions. A child is somebody who is less than 18 years in Cameroon. They have defined what trafficking is all about. Trafficking is when you transport a child within Cameroon or out of Cameroon for financial benefits. So if you do that, whether you take the child from Bamenda or from the north and you send to Yaoundé, know that you are trafficking the child. In as much as the person is less than 18 years, you are supposed to be punished. And there are punishments that have been allocated to that, both to those that are taking responsibility over the child like guardians, and also those that give out this child into these homes. So what we need to do now is reinforcing the laws. How do we reinforce the laws? By creating more awareness. Let people be aware that if your child is less than 18 years, you don't have to force them into working so that you can be able to take care of your younger ones, or so that you can be able to build a house for yourself or buy a car for yourself.
Yes.
Because at times it's because we want these material things that we force these children out. Now, another plague came, the socio-political crisis in the Northwest. And because children are not allowed to study, most of the parents just think, okay, in a way of catching up, let me send these children to go and be nannies in people's houses. We are supposed to be in the communities, educating them. There are opportunities for these children. We have vocational training centers. Send these children to the vocational training centers. Let's develop skills in these children that can help them be more productive than going and staying in somebody's house that will be abusing them every day and tampering with their mental health. I bet you a lot of Cameroonians are suffering from mental illnesses.
And most importantly, do not give birth to children you cannot raise. It's not a competition. You do not have to give birth to a battalion of children if you cannot take care of them.
As the state that has a really big problem. But people just giving birth, and I think the government, we need to do more of sensitization. Because for my own nannies, you talked about me, you asked about me having a nanny. Of course I have, and I took it from an agency in Tam Tam. This agency, they train nannies.
Yes, but how old is the child?
Oh, my nanny should be about 24 years.
Oh, wow.
And she goes to school. She had advanced level with me. She stayed with me and had her advanced level because she was working and she was going to school. And right now she's going to school in Simbok, this HIPS. She is in the university. I still work with her.
Please put your hands together for all the contributions that is just beautifully laid this out and bring that in. That was really insightful. Madam Maxine, do you want to say something before we go, please?
Yes, I just wanted to add that more education needs to be sent out to the rural areas because that is where they are lacking. They do not know anything that is happening in the cities.
Yes.
But most often they go there because they are vulnerable. And because they are vulnerable, they just give out these children without doing any background checks, without finding out where they are going to. And then at the end, you just see them, they come as slaves in the cities.
Yes.
So if we can do more sensitization at the level of the communities, the rural areas, it's going to help to improve a lot. Even if there are people that are passionate about being domestic staff, they are passionate about it. So if you are passionate about it, you can be directed to where you get help and where you can be trained, and you don't come in as a burden on somebody, and you don't also come in as a slave to yourself and working money that you will never receive.
This is definitely a conversation that we will be pausing because it's something quite important. And today we'll pause the conversation, and in subsequent episodes, we will be talking about how we can find solutions to this social ill that is eating the core of our society. Thank you so much, Madam Maxine and Mrs. Lolita, for coming on this episode of Time with My Visitors. And we look forward to having you again. Thank you so much. Let's put your hands together for them. Thank you so much. We'll be right back, guys.